Hello and welcome back to the Road to Good Cooking. And today I'm going to be trying something different. Now, one thing that I have enjoyed about being locked down for the last couple of years because of you know what, I've been able to go online and really check out some sausage makers, and I mean we're talking professional sausage makers, and these guys, I mean, they know their stuff. Their information is very informative, and a couple of them I watched a couple of times because I just wanted to make sure that I understood everything. And I'm going to try something different today. So we are going to be in the kitchen and we're going to try making something new today. I'm trying a different casing. Let me put it that way. The sausage recipe is the one that I've been using all along, but the casing, I've never used cellulose casings before, and I'm looking forward to trying them. So I'll meet you in the kitchen, and don't be busting my chops, because I'm learning just like you. All right, I'll meet you in the kitchen. In there. See ya. For this project, I'm going to be using a young turkey, and I'm going to carve this bad boy up and use everything but the wings and part of the drumsticks. I'm even going to use the carcass to make some turkey broth. And I'm going to be using 32 millimeter cellulose casings for skinless sausage, and I absolutely love these things. I mean, it's going to make a dinner size hot dog. I don't like those little skinny hot dogs because I end up putting two in my hot dog bun anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. I'm sorry. But this is a perfect size for me, and I love the ease of working with these. You don't have to worry about blowouts or stuffing them too tight where they blow out on you right in the middle of your making your sausage, and they're just really easy to work with, and they'll peel right off, and they're non-edible. The turkey that I'm going to be working with today is 13.93 pounds, almost a 14-pound turkey. I caught it on sale the end of last year, so I bought two of them. I cooked one for the holidays, and I set this one aside and left it in the freezer for this project because I knew I was going to be making me some turkey sausage or some turkey bacon or something turkey. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. Okay, I cut up most of my turkey off camera because you don't need to be watching me do that. But cutting up a turkey is just like cutting up a chicken. You just cut along that fat line where the joint is and separate your pieces. Now for this recipe, I'm going to be using some of the turkey skin, and that's going to be my fat because turkey is pretty lean. And I saw several recipes where they used all the fat. They used pork fat. They used beef fat. And I don't know, I'm just not really into adding pork fat to my turkey. But, this is your recipe. When you're making your hot dogs, you make them like you want, and you know what's in them. That's the beauty of making your own sausage and your own hot dogs. You know exactly what you put into it. So, pretty much, do it like you want. I'm going to separate some of the skin and freeze that separately. Some of the skin I'm going to leave on the pieces, as you'll see here. And I've already cut off the wings and put those up in a bag. They're in the freezer. The carcass, I have that in another bag, and that's going to be in some turkey broth here in a couple days. And for my liquid for this recipe, I'm going to use some of my turkey broth that I made about a week ago, and I took 1 cup and froze it into ice cubes, and that's what I'm going to be adding to my turkey as I grind it, and that'll serve two purposes. It'll give me my liquid, and it'll also keep the turkey nice and chilled, because you need your turkey nice and chilled when you're doing this recipe, because you don't want your fat and everything to smear up and get all weird on you. So keep your turkey nice and chilled. Try to keep it below 34. I think he said 34 degrees or something like that. And I put my turkey in the refrigerator overnight, and then that morning, the day that I was making this hot dogs, I put the turkey in the freezer for about 45 minutes or so it got a nice chill on it. Didn't freeze it all the way through, but it's kind of nice and chilled. Okay, so let me get back to work here. I decided to use some of the meat off of the drumstick. Now I can't take it all off there because of all those tendons. So I'm just going to take the skin off and then just cut off a piece of the fat pieces and put the rest in the freezer for my turkey stock. And you see I have a pile of skin here. I'm gonna freeze that separately, and that's going to be my fat going into the recipe. You see here I have ice in the bottom of my pan, my meat tray. I'm okay with that because that's just going to help to keep my meat nice and chilled. Alrighty, so I'm totally okay with that. And here's what my turkey looks like after being in the freezer for, actually it was in there about an hour or so. And it's slightly frozen, but not frozen to the point where I can't use it. You know what I mean? This is what you want. You want your meat to have a nice chill on it. And the fact that it was in the refrigerator all night and then in the freezer, it's really, really, really cold. So I will be working quickly during this step. And what I'm doing is just pulling apart the pieces. They kind of clump together when they got partially frozen. So I'm just pulling them apart so it'll be easier to, handle once I put them in my meat tray. Okay, all done. And here's my ingredients. Now you might want to pause the video right here and write all these ingredients down or come back to it later. For this recipe, this time I'm going to put my seasoning on the meat before I grind it. I have a lot of guys ask me, well, why don't you put your spice on before you grind the meat? Well, that's what I'm doing this time. So the bowl is ice cold, and you will see a lot of the seasoning in the bottom of the bowl after I take all that meat out of there. But I'm not going to worry about it because after that second grind, the meat will be back in the bowl and it will absorb the spices that's left in the bowl, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to be adding 2 cups of fresh spinach to this recipe, along with 1.5 tablespoons of minced fresh garlic. And you can add more garlic if you like. If you're a garlic person like I am, just load it up on garlic. Sure, hot dogs, right? All right, now the next few steps are going to be kind of self-explanatory. I'm going to mute the sound so the sound of my grinder won't kill your ears. So sit back like you guys always do, relax, and watch me work. first grind is done. Now I'm going to load my meat tray back up again and grind it the second time. And you'll see me putting in the chicken broth cubes in this batch, and because I want everything to stay really cold, and you'll see from my temperature, even after running it through my grinder twice, it's still going to be super cold. You'll see that in just a second. Second grind is done, and it looks really good. It's very sticky at this point, and that's really kind of what you want. And normally I would stop right at this point, but I'm going to take it a little bit further, and I want to probably mix it through with my mixer, or if you have a food processor, that's when you would take it to the food processor and take it to the third level. And see how sticky that is? It's sticking right to my glove, and that's exactly what you want. And you'll see the temperature of this meat. After I ground it twice, I mean, it's still ice cold. And if you're in a place where where your house is kind of warm, you want to make sure that you keep that meat temperature down around 34 or below. And after the first grind, if you temp your meat and you see that it's warmed up, put it back in the freezer for about a half hour or so, let it, come back down to temperature, and then do the second grind. But I wasn't worried about that because I knew my meat was ice cold because I put it in the refrigerator overnight and in the freezer. So it was truly ice cold. And you'll see from the temperature here in just 1 second. And that's not bad. That's exactly where I want it, right there. Look at that, 29 degrees after 2 grinds. So you know how cold that meat was. So I'm good to go. And then I'm going to mix all of my, you see the broth there? It's still frozen, so I'm going to mix that in. And I'm going to let my meat sit in the refrigerator, stop at this point, clean up my mess like I always do, and let the meat just rest in the fridge until I get done. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to make myself a sample to make sure that my seasonings are right where I want them. And I think it's going to be because it just smells so good. It really does. And I'm going to fry it up and see how it looks. It's really going to be super good. So let me get this cooked up and I'll be right back. Okay, here's my sample. Yeah, it looks juicy. Oh yeah, it's plenty juicy. Yeah. Good and garlicky. Very tender, very juicy. Look at that. Flavor is fabulous. Oh yeah, these are going to be my new favorites. I'm back. I got everything all cleaned up, and I've added half my mixture in my mixing bowl here, and here's the other half, and you see there's no spice in the bottom of the bowl because the meat absorbed it, which I knew it would. And to this part of it, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of ice cold water and a 1/4 cup of olive oil because I think I want a little bit more fat in there. I still have some frozen turkey skin left over, but I'm not one for a whole bunch of skin in my sausage anyway. So I'm going to use the olive oil as my fat. Now, I started this process with the wire whisk because I thought it would emulsify my sausage a little bit quicker, but I remembered from one of the videos that I watched, the guy said that, you know, doing it with a mixer, you might whip too much air in it, and I don't want to do that because I want all the meat and the fat to be as one. So when it emulsifies, you won't be able to tell where there's chicken or there's turkey and where there's skin. Does that make any sense? Okay. All right, so I changed the wire whisk out and put the paddle on, and it whipped it up just nicely, and you'll see here at the end that it really did bring it all together very nice. All right, the next time I make hot dogs, I know one thing. I'm going to dig out my food processor because my mixer here, bless her heart, she's over 20 years old, and she really had a hard time whipping up this meat because of, I guess, you know, it's heavy and it's dense, and I quit making bread with my mixer because of that reason. And I need old girl to last for just a little bit longer, being as Santa Claus didn't bring me a new mixer this year. So I'm going to give her a break. And look at that. Doesn't that look good? Looks like meat frosting, don't it? And I'm quite happy with this batch. I really am. Okay, guys, this concludes part 1 of 2 videos. Now, this video will be in chapters for easy reference for you, and I will put part 2 in chapters as well. All right, I'll see you on the other side.